VLR.
Welcome to the Saturday Night Cigar Lounge.
And it is a very nice Saturday here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, as well as, the Cigar Lounge, but it's always climate-controlled here in the Cigar Lounge, which is always a good thing. I am your host, Taylor. Thanks for being here for Saturday Night Cigar Lounge. My guest tonight, very happy to have old friend from United Liberty, Jason Pye. Jason, how are you doing?
I'm good, Taylor. How are you?
I am just fine. A little tired, but that kind of happens sometimes.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I've had a hell of a weekend already.
Didn't you have something to do with a debate recently?
Yeah, I moderated or co-moderated a forum last night, sort of a debate, sort of a forum in Georgia's 10th congressional district. There's a local group out here in my neck of the woods that asked me to, and I helped co-found the group, but because I'm I write a lot about liberty issues and contribute also to a Georgia-based political blog, they asked me to co-moderate, so I did. About an hour and 45 minutes. We had 7 candidates participate. A lot of interesting discussion, but it was fun. I mean, it was interesting. It was fun. I learned a lot about the candidates, and there are a couple good oones in the field. So,
isn't that kind of how it always seems like? It's like, yeah, I learned a lot. There are a couple of good ones.
Oh, I mean, in a race like this, you have 7 candidates. You have one guy who's a businessman, who's the son of a former member of Congress. You have a former state representative who actually resigned her seat to run for this seat. She didn't have to do that, by the way. She just did. You have a pastor. You have a Tea Party activist. You have a retired military officer. You have a lawyer, and then you have I think, God, is that it? It feels like there should be another one or two in there, but. No, I mean, it's going to come down to the pastor, who's actually kind of a Ron Paul type, very liberty-minded. He actually said that he would model himself after Justin Amash, which is encouraging. And then you have the son of the former congressman, who I think is probably also a front runner, but just because of name ID. But I mean, there were a couple other people who were in the race. We said a lot of interesting things last night. I mean, we talked about. I mean, I led off the debate with the first question was about foreign policy and the situation in Ukraine and Crimea. And, we talked about Obamacare, a lot of talk about the economy. Unfortunately, the foreign policy question didn't even really get answered. I mean, a couple people attempted to answer it and threw out some potential solutions, quote unquote solutions. The son of the former congressman, his name's Mike Collins. He said he actually turned it into an answer about Keystone XL, which I thought was curious.
Saying that is something that a lot of folks have mentioned before is, the fact that the solution for them is, hey, let's get Keystone approved, so that way we can go to we can then send that natural gas to Ukraine.
I get the. I mean, I understood the argument. Don't get me wrong. I just the question was tailored. How do you ease tensions in Eastern Europe? Yes, energy policy may factor in, but it's not. That's a long-term thing we're talking about. That's not going to be in the short term in the current situation, and that wasn't. I don't think that was the plausible answer for the short term.
Mm-hmm. For those who are just joining us, Jason Pye from United Liberty is the guest. You are what, editor-in-chief? Isn't that the official term?
Just official titles, editor.
Okay.
Kind of the resident libertarian guy. I don't know what.
Resident libertarian. I don't know. You've got plenty of.
Oh no, I know. We have a lot of libertarian leaning contributors. We have some conservatives too. So yeah. I mean, we try to. It's United Liberty. I mean, the core basis of our blog is fusionism. So, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the way we pitch it. So,
Well, let's see. I'm still kind of curious before we get to fusionism, which is something that I really do want to talk about.
Sure.
Is what do you think are the solutions in Ukraine?
I don't know if there are any solutions. I mean, a lot of the things that I've heard. The missile shield and bringing Ukraine into NATO, I think, are two terrible ideas. I mean, I think honestly, that risks escalating the situation. Russia would retaliate. Mm-hmm. Their goal right now is just basically to make Ukraine collapse economically. Then that's their goal, and if we push that along, they're going to do that. They could also take aim at Georgia again, just like they did in 2008, and they could even try to invade Moldavia. So, I mean, there are no good solutions here. And I think one of the things that's really kind of frustrated me about this is the Republicans who are saying we need to take a stronger stance on Russia. Okay, what do you want President Obama to do? Yes, some of the criticisms that they've laid at his feet are valid. Has Barack Obama projected weakness in foreign policy? Absolutely. But it's not because the man should have, it all goes back to Syria. Mm-hmm. He should have never drawn this red line in the sand, and he was forced to back down from it because Congress wasn't going to authorize military force. The public was against it. So he did look weak when he backed down. Now, we shouldn't have bombed Syria just because we were going to look weak in international eyes. It's not a reason to go to war, which is ostensibly is what we were doing. We would be committing an act of war if we bombed Syria, and not just that, risking a much larger conflict in the Middle East, an area of the world that we're already involved in. So I mean, yes, I mean Obama has projected weakness, but we're not. I mean, there are no easy solutions and with Russia in terms of with the Crimea region and Ukraine. We're pretty much, this is one of those situations. It's not because, yes, I am a non-interventionist on foreign policy. I think if you're going to spread peace, you need to do it through free trade. Yeah. But there are no solutions here, and sanctions even are not a solution. Sanctions rarely work.
Yeah, it's kind of like you have it. A couple of days ago, I said you have a sanction, and you have a sanction, and you have a sanction.
Oh, I mean, the funny thing about the sanctions was that the situation. Russia invaded Crimea at the end of February. It was mid-March when he released the sanctions. I mean, any assets the original 7 Russian officials who were targeted, probably pulled any potentially affected monies out of for international accounts, wherever they may be, whatever monies would have been affected. They pulled all that money out.
Yeah.
So I mean, come on. There are, like I said, there are no good options here. We're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Best thing we can do is continue to place international pressure through the G7, through the UN, but Russia still has a veto in the UN, so that's really not even an option. But through the G7, place pressure, but I mean, sanctions, bringing Ukraine into NATO, that's the worst possible idea. And a missile defense shield, also a bad idea. We're just going to escalate things.
Well, I don't mind the missile defense idea, but if you're going to say that you're going to do it, actually do it.
No, yeah. But still, you're risking escalation. You're still risking escalation. And
yeah. I understand that point. I do think in the end, I mean, the solution, I mean, the ultimate solution is free trade, and the problem that you run into, I think, is that a lot of companies don't want to do it because they're getting a better deal from Russia because Russia has lower taxes.
They do. They also have a very corrupt economy. It's thrives on cronyism. I mean,
well, their oil companies are all nationalized, aren't they?
I have to look and see. I believe so, but I'd have to double check and see. The one thing that sticks out in my mind whenever we're talking about foreign policy issues, there was actually a question asked about this last night at the forum, the debate. One of the co-moderators asked it. He was talking about the Cuban trade embargo, which was kind of weird. I mean, we don't really think of that as a big issue, but he brought it up. He was talking about which policy is worse, the war on drugs or the Cuban trade embargo. And, and I was actually we had, and I was encouraged. There were actually a couple panelists who said both, but many of them said, the war on drugs. One of them said, well, drugs are illegal and Cuba's communist, so it makes sense to me. Just like, oh God, come on, really? But no, I mean, the one quote that stands out in my mind whenever we talk about foreign policy is when goods don't cross borders, soldiers will. Frederick Bastiat said that. I mean, and that's really what our foreign policy should be based on. If we're not going to trade with countries, that's how you spread freedom. That's how you spread liberty. Is not through bombs. It's through free flow of goods. That's how you do that.
So, some folks in the chat are actually saying that they think the defense shield in places like Poland is a good idea because they think that it would stop showing weakness because posturing matters in foreign policy.
Yes, and Russia will retaliate against another country in that region. I understand the point. I understand the argument. There's a couple of the candidates last night who cited the missile defense shield, and I understand that argument. And it's actually, if we were not in the situation in which we are, it possibly, but because of tensions, I mean, we are risking escalation. If you want to talk of a new Cold War is premature, but if you want to actually have a new Cold War, you put a missile defense shield in Poland.
Well, to be honest, I think there are a lot of people who think that the Cold War didn't stop. It just went on hiatus for a while Russia reorganized themselves.
Well, I think John McCain believes that, and I think Lindsey Graham believes that. But I mean, there were years of peace. I mean, we did have years of peace with Russia.
Yeah.
But let's just, and also in other regards, Vladimir Putin, while I dislike the man, is not an idiot. I mean, he is a very skillful politician. He has outsmarted Barack Obama on 2 or 3 different occasions, if not 4 different occasions now. And let's also not forget, in 2008, the situation in Georgia, I mean, Bush, if you want to talk about projecting weakness, Bush projected weakness then too, because what did he do when that situation happened? There was nothing we could do, because anything we could have done risked escalation.
I think that there was Free Republic actually kind of detailed what Bush did, and and again, it's Free Republic, so you never know.
Sure.
If there are any freepers out there, my apologies. I'm just being honest. He made sure that some Georgian troops that were in Afghanistan it was either Afghanistan or Iraq. He made sure that they got out and were able to go back home. He started talks, I think, but I think that it depends on the situation. I mean, by that time though, Bush was pretty hamstrung because he had Congress that wasn't
a Democratic.
He had a Democratic Congress.
On the way to having a Democrat take White House, which
and he was about to leave.
Right.
So that's what Putin's not an idiot. He's done these moves in election years, I think, for a reason.
No, I think you're right. And the guy, look, he's a former KGB agent. He was skillful. He's just a skillful politician. He's just outsmarted Barack Obama. There's really nothing Obama could do. I mean, outside of starting another Cold War, which I don't think there is a stomach for, except for in the minds of a handful of neoconservative Republicans, people like John McCain, Lindsey Graham, Bill Kristol, and others.
I'm sure there's some. I mean, I'm sure some Democrats want it as much as they don't want to say it. I'm sure there's some Democrats who want it, because when you think about it, if they have contracts in certain areas,
sure,
they can use that for to their advantage to
sure,
get cash.
Sure. I mean, and there are a couple of Democrats who were on the list of sanctioned politicians that Russia sanctioned. I mean, they're playing that up as
Mary Reed.
Well, Mary Landrieu.
Yeah.
I mean, she's playing that up as much as she can. She needs it because, the way her race is looking right now, she's probably going to be a goner come December. I mean, I'm not saying it's a definite. I mean, Bill Cassidy looks like a relatively standard Republican. He's not exactly wowing people, but I mean, if things keep up the way they're going, she could lose, but things like that help her.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And there's another thing that I was thinking about that really you just look at it, it's just weird. I'm not sure what really the solution is at all. I don't think anybody knows what the solution is, except for that Putin has all the cards right now.
Right, no, he does, and nobody knows what the solution is. I mean, and like I said, I mean, I'm not a foreign policy expert. I'm just simply saying that escalation would be bad. We don't want another Cold War, but nobody has the answers here. I mean, getting tough on Putin. Just why we get tough on Bashir Assad, we look stupid in international eyes. We're going to get tough on Vladimir Putin. We're going to look even dumber in international eyes. I mean, and I don't know, dude. I mean, it's just there's just nothing. There are no easy answers. Good luck trying to find them here. I mean, I wish it was just as simple as placing more pressure on Vladimir Putin. That's just not realistic.
Yeah, and meanwhile, of course, everyone's looking at Ukraine, and they're not looking at what's going on in Venezuela.
No, I know. I mean, we talk about spreading freedom, and I'm not suggesting that we should go to war in Venezuela or any country that oppresses its people. I'm not an Ayn Rand style objectivist. I mean, like I said, I'm a non-interventionist. But I mean, we talk about Ukraine, we talk about Crimea, we talk about human rights abuses in North Korea. But Venezuela, I mean, there's some very scary things going on down there, and it's not a peep out of this administration. I mean, or very little. It's disappointing. I mean, it's also disappointing to not hear many Republicans talk about it. I give Marco Rubio credit he's been one of the few who's really spoken out, and that's one of the things, like, I don't hate Rubio like a lot of people hate Rubio. Like, I know he's kind of fell out with a lot of conservatives, but I like the guy.
I like Rubio too.
I'm not saying I'd vote for him. I'm just simply saying, like, I mean, I disagree with him on a lot of things. I was saying I like the guy. I mean, I think, but I disagree with him on the Cuban trade embargo, for example. But I just like his style.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I think a lot of people are mad about his support of the immigration bill, and I think a lot of it was he was trying to be a good soldier, and he legitimately wants there to be a solution for that.
Yeah.
But now he's just like he realizes just how it's not going anywhere, and I think all the good that he wants in it isn't there.
Yeah, it's a toxic issue, and that's unfortunate. I mean, and I don't know how to say this without coming across. I mean, look, I'm not in a perfect world, I support open borders. I do realize we have to have checks on immigration. Like, I understand that. I don't believe in quotas, for example. I mean, but I do believe we have to make sure that people who come into our country are not a health threat, are not a national security threat. Like, I get those arguments. That's fine. But the immigration and there are plenty of studies to back this up, even studies like conducted by conservative, or the Cato Institute, for example, a libertarian think tank, but conservatives cite them when it's convenient. But I mean, they've shown that there are positive effects to immigration. It's a net positive for the country. There should be a path to citizenship. There are certain sectors of our economy that need migrant workers. Georgia's economy took $1 billion hit when they passed the anti-immigration bill. And yes, it was an anti-immigration bill. It was a restrictionist style immigration bill. I mean, our agriculture industry took $1 billion hit because of that bill. They couldn't, even though we had an unemployment rate at the time of over 9%, they could not find anyone to come down and work the fields. They tried bringing in prisoners. The prisoners, work-related prisoners. They tried to bring them in to work the fields. They didn't get near the productivity they got out of migrant workers. And there's, like I said, there are studies. There's one out of Texas and one out of North Carolina in 2006 that showed, North Carolina's study, I believe, showed $9 billion in economic activity and increased GDP as a result of immigrants. Only 65 million, I think, in services paid out. And in Texas, they actually showed it to be a net positive for the economy. They actually paid more in taxes than they consumed in services. And not to mention the GDP effects.
Yeah. All you have to do is look at the situation involving Katrina and Kai Jurgensen for just how idiotic our immigration system is.
Yes, I've read a little bit about that, and that is, that's a great example of it. And there, I don't have my mother helped out. She teaches ESOL in Georgia's public schools. This is her last year. She's retiring. She helped out a family of an illegal immigrant here in Georgia to obtain resident status, a legal status, and their story was unbelievable. I mean, I don't want to go into it. I don't want to. But it was just, their story was unbelievable. And it was one that, and it changed her view on the immigration system. She used to be very hard right restrictionist immigration. She, they took our jobs type thing, like you see on South Park. But, that was an eye opener for her. And it also just made my position stronger on, like, it was right. And I think conservatives in a lot of ways, and I'm not saying this to be mean or anything, but I think they've been duped by a lot of the restrictionist groups like FAIR, Numbers USA, trying to think of the other one, Centers for Immigration Studies or Center for Immigration Studies. Please, before you buy anything coming out of these groups, do a little bit of research. Google the name John Tanton. This guy, he started all of these groups. This guy is a radical environmentalist. He's served on a Planned Parenthood board, and I think he was from Michigan or Wisconsin. He believes in zero population growth. It's an environmental platform, and conservatives have bought it hook, line, and sinker. He started all those, like, the big anti-immigration groups. He thinks China's one-child policy is something that we should implement in the United States.
Yeah.
These people are crazy. And I'm not talking about the conservatives, I'm talking about the people who started these groups. We have to be really careful. And it's sad to see that so many conservatives have bought into it. Tanton is a writer
he's the founder of the Social Contract Press, which is a proponent of immigration reduction and population control with emphasis on culture and the environment.
Yes. And he started all the groups that conservatives are getting all their information from.
Yeah.
It's the biggest dupe I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This guy's
and let's remember, and I think a lot of people need to remember this, and they forget the people who did who passed one of the most restrictive immigration bills out there are the Democrats.
Yeah.
Now, Coolidge did sign, who is one of my favorite presidents. Coolidge did sign the one involving restrictions on the Japanese, and he did it under duress.
Right.
I think they would have overturned his veto had he vetoed it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the reason Democrats push the issue lately, well, the labor unions don't want the labor competition. I mean, that in modern times. I mean, I'm not going to go back, 7 or 8 decades, but in modern times, I mean, Democrats push it when it dies. Their base is happy because their base doesn't want immigration or increase immigration because it hurts their workers. So, I mean, that's also a kind of a thing, unfortunately. But no, I mean, just if people are listening out there and you're actually open to reading on this issue, there's a really good book. It's called, and don't let the title fool you. The title's a little kind of open bordery. Actually, it's completely open bordery, but it's called "Let Them In: The Case for Open Borders." It's actually it's more about immigration reform, not complete open borders, but it's actually by Jason L. Riley, who's a member of the Wall Street Journal editorial board. And, the subline is basically 6 arguments against immigration and why they're wrong. So just, if you want a good book on it, please check that out. It's a pretty easy read. It's about 240 pages. And it's actually one of my, out of all the books I have about a dozen that sit on my desk at all times. That's one of them because I reference it a lot. So when I'm talking about the issue, so it's a great one. And it's one of the things I was actually hoping to, when we did the Fusionism panel at BlogCon last year, I was hoping to bring up some of Jason Riley's points. I didn't get a chance to. So I started getting shouted down because I made everybody angry.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that. I'm sitting there going, no, stop that.
Oh, you were yelling at me or yelling at
No. I was looking at all the people who were going nuts, and I'm just like, oh, I think I remember I tweeted in the middle of that. I was like, there goes Jason Pye pissing off 75% of the room.
Well, I mean, we talked about before we even came on, and you and I have had this conversation. We had this conversation at BlogCon, in fact, and we discussed, like, hey, let's talk about the areas, the issues on which we agree on which we disagree, rather than the ones we agree. Because, we are all on the same team here, but let's be controversial. Let's throw the stuff out there where we have some issues. And, that's why we brought out gay marriage. That's why in my opening, I took pot shots at Rick Santorum and Mike Huckabee, because, those guys, they hate libertarians, and I don't hate them. I just disagree with them, but they hate me for some reason. Not really. I mean, I'm just saying, like, they're just not big fans of libertarians. But, look, it's just one of those things, man. I'm willing, like, this local group that I'm working with now. I mean, our whole basis is fusionism, and we have social conservatives. There are about 9 of us in the core group. I mean, you have a couple actually more than a couple of social conservatives. I think probably 3 or 4 of them are, and then you have 2 to 3 strong libertarians, and then everybody else is kind of like on the fence about social issues. But basically, the only big area that matters where we agree is fiscal issues. Yeah. I support gay marriage, but I support fewer taxes and free markets and all that stuff, and and less spending, and that's where we all come together.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where I look at fusionism as something that it's really important, and I think that a lot of people, they just want to play in their own sandboxes, and they don't want to expand, and they're so used to just going after one group and getting one group, to go support them.
Yeah.
That it hurts them in the long run, even if on the short run they win elections. Yeah, no,
in some respects, that's why, like, I would never vote for Rick Santorum. Like, Rick Santorum, I actually can tolerate Mike Huckabee more than Rick Santorum, which says a lot because I despise Huckabee.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a very nice man. Before we came on air, we had this conversation about Barack Obama.
Yeah.
I despise the man's policies, but I would have a beer with him. Mike Huckabee plays bass, I play guitar, I jam with him, But I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to agree with a lot of the stuff he says.
Yeah.
But Rick Santorum just seems like an angry person. He just comes across like a very angry man. So, I don't see how those people, Huckabee and Santorum, appeal to a subsect of the voting population that we have to have at some point. It's young voters, millennials. We've got to have those. We've got to start reaching out into areas of the population that have been skeptical of Republicans. And this is coming from someone like I was involved in the Libertarian Party for many, many years. I mean, I was a state party chairman here in Georgia. I didn't jump over when all the Ron Paul folks jumped over. I mean, I liked Ron Paul. I voted for him twice. I vote in Republican primaries, but I'm finally the Libertarian Party is just a complete cluster.
Yeah.
But I've gotten involved in my local Republican Party and all that stuff. But so many Republicans have no sense of reality as far as it's like the Ted Cruz thing. The guy's a great orator. He's so intelligent. He's a smart guy. But he keeps talking to the same people over and over and over. It's just like you were saying about Rick Santorum, like Huckabee. There aren't many Republicans who are going into the enemy territory. But we had one guy, Rand Paul, who gave almost the exact same speech at CPAC a few weeks ago. He gave it again at one of the most renowned liberal schools in the country, UC Berkeley.
And got a standing ovation.
In both places.
Yeah.
So,
it's pretty amazing, isn't it?
I know, it absolutely is. I mean, you don't see that from Republicans. I mean, not just the fact that the guy went over to, just the fact that he went to UC, or even if he didn't get a standing ovation, the fact that he went there, the fact that he went to the heart of Detroit and gave a speech about economic policy, the fact that he went to Howard University, a historically black college, and talked about mandatory minimums and criminal justice reform and the war on drugs and how it disproportionately hurts African Americans, black people. The guy is, whether you like him or not, that's fine. Cool. We can agree to disagree. But he's doing something other than talking to preaching to the choir. And that's exactly what the Republican Party needs. Just saying. I mean, we can disagree with me, but I mean, I'm sorry, but Republicans are dying. I mean,
they've been dying since
since 2006.
No, they've been dying before then.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about. You're right. I'm just saying. Yeah. 2006 when they completely lost control of the narrative.
Yeah. Oh, and before and we need to take just a really quick hang on for a 30 second sound clip so that I don't get in a lot of trouble. So we're going to take a really quick break and keep going. This is Saturday Night Cigar Lounge here on Vigilant Liberty Radio. The guest is Jason Pye from United Liberty, and we will be right back after this.
This is the Pint-Sized Pundit, and I am here to tell you that anything Taylor says on Saturday Night Cigar Lounge is his opinion and his opinion only. He does not speak for his employer, his employer's employer, or anyone else. He especially doesn't speak for Liz unless she says so.
Mr. President, members of Congress, you've been making a lot of noise about taking our guns away. But you might want to review history. 1835, Gonzales, Texas Territory. The authorities wanted to confiscate the big gun that protected that colony. You know what the people said? Come and take it. Because they were willing to fight for their freedom and their guns. So are we.
Come and take it if you want it. Come and take it if you think you can. Come and take it, but I warn you, you'll have to pry it from my cold dead hands. We want the freedom that God gave us, so you best not cross that line. If you want this gun, you gotta come through us and take it.
One shot at a time. Just like Gonzalez, we're keeping our guns.
This is Lachlan Marquet of the Washington Free Beacon, and you are listening to Vigilant Liberty Radio.
The ad says he doesn't have a horse in this race, but Retractor knows he does. Now he's got egg on his face. The donkey's on the left.
Back here on Saturday Night Cigar Lounge here on Vigilant Liberty Radio. I thought it was just appropriate to play Lachlan Marquet, who is one of the coolest people in the world that has a bass clef tattoo on his arm. As somebody who's willing to get a bass clef tattoo on his arm, they're cool in my book.
My tattoo's better. not to take anything away from Lachlan, because Lachlan and I have bonded over punk rock many times, and beer and whiskey. But yeah, my tattoo's better.
Is the Who is John Galt the only tattoo you have? I think you had multiple ones.
I have four tattoos. I have the emoji, which you can Google emoji and find out what the story behind all that. And then I have a couple of tattoos on my right arm as well, but they're from they're ones I wish I could tattoo over.
Okay.
So
Not
that there's anything bad about them. It's just
how do you spell it?
AMAGI.
Okay, I was putting an H in there for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, the only you're talking about the symbol, not the Amaji Clash battleship.
No, it's the symbol.
Okay. I was just asking.
I need more tattoos. I've been jonesing for one for a while, man. I got to get another one. I wanted to do a half. I had this thing about not getting playing in music. I played in a band for 6 years. A punk band for 6 years. I always wanted, a whole sleeve of tattoos. My wife, she's actually, I think my wife probably has 18 tattoos now.
Jeez.
Yeah, something like, she has the word bacon tattooed inside of her lip. I'm not kidding. I can send you the picture. I'm sure it's on Facebook somewhere. But she has a lot of, we're big. There's a band called Thrice. If you guys have never heard, yeah. She has a couple Thrice tattoos, and one of them takes up not most of her leg, but a chunk of her leg. So she's beating me. Needless to say, she's beating me in the tattoo thing. It's I can't get anything below my sleeve. It's just below my elbow, just because of for me it's just a matter of professional. If I have to go to Washington D.C., which I do go to D.C. Probably once a quarter, and if I have to go on the Hill or something like that, and I'm not wearing a dress shirt, I'm wearing a polo, I just don't prefer people not to stare at my tattoos and say,
it is the same reason why I have all my tattoos on my back.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean I want more tattoos, trust me. It's just more of a trying to figure out where, I don't know, more of what I want than where am I going to put them. So
yeah, I have. Let's see. I have 3 Christian symbols on my back, as well as the Dimmet flag, which of course I'm probably mispronouncing it.
I always wanted the Gadsden flag.
Yeah.
I wanted that so bad for so long, and now it's I'm not gonna get it.
Yeah, no, it's the Philip Dimmet flag. It's basically what it has is it's a bloody arm is what it is. And it's got a sword on it, and there's blood dripping from the sword. Basically, what it is that if my left arm is taken away, I will still fight for freedom with my right arm.
Nice. I like that.
So, Dimmet, his Goliad flag. I want to get the. I actually have this flag. Up at my home. It is it's a white flag that with a blue star on it that says liberty or death. And it's something from and this is all Texas Revolution.
Yeah. You Texans.
Flags. Yes.
You Texans. I swear, BlogCon 2013 was the first time I'd ever been to Texas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, believe it or not, man, I actually didn't leave. I didn't go further west than further west than New Orleans until I was probably 27. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't travel much until my late 20s for some reason, and then my late 20s I started traveling everywhere. So it's fun times. Yeah.
No, I actually, amusingly, this flag was created by Joanna Troutman, who is a Georgian.
Oh, really?
Troutman flag is what we have.
Georgians are awesome, man.
So
what? You say that with such a disappointing sigh.
No. I'm laughing.
Can't believe I just said that. What an ass! Like that's what I'm talking about.
Hey, you're talking to someone who earlier today, when at Texas Humor tweeted I love Texas, my reply was with all of my heart.
Oh.
Because I love Texas. I'm sure Liz Harrison in the chat room is just gagging right now.
Hi, Liz. I tell you, Liz's pieces that she writes for United Liberty are traffic gold.
You hear that, Liz?
When and if I ever meet Liz, I'm giving her a hug, and probably going to buy her dinner too. So,
see, Liz. I told you were a good writer.
She is. Absolutely. We have a solid group of contributors now. Like we really do. Liz, Alice Salays, we have Matthew DeArmo.
Yeah.
God, we have a few others who are just like doing really solid work, and we're growing, and we've Hot Air picked up one of our pieces today, which was really cool. Big fans of Hot Air. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, not just because they picked up one of your pieces, right?
No. I've met a lot of those guys like Ed Morrissey and Jazz Shaw. Jazz Shaw actually is the one I probably run into the most. I really like jazz. So.
Yeah, and we have a special guest who apparently who apparently got shocked that we were talking about her.
Why wouldn't I
to call in? Liz? Hi, Liz.
Hello.
Howdy, Liz. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. This is funny because, I'm his boss, but you're my boss.
Oh, I'm nobody.
Well, at least on the United Liberty.
Okay. Okay. But no, I mean, it's UL's, it's getting fun over there. I mean, it's always been fun. It's, people, it's funny, when I got into writing and blogging and stuff way back in like 2005, people asked me why I did it. And I was just like, well, if I didn't say anything, like I would literally get ulcers. Like I have to say something, so it's kind of neat that it's turned into, something that's getting a lot of readership and a lot of traction. And thanks to people like Liz and Alice and Matthew and a lot of the other guys we have over there. It's doing really well right now.
You have to thank yourself.
That is actually probably why I have the show, is because if I didn't have an outlet, I would drive myself insane. And I talk better than I write.
I write better than I talk. This is actually, I think, one of the few times I've been more relaxed on a podcast. Like I'm kind of like jumping all over the place. Tonight I've been more relaxed than I usually am, and I haven't had anything to drink. Maybe that's why.
Well, you're not debating Gabriel Mallor either. So.
Oh yeah, and I'm intimidated by Gabriel because he's a lawyer. He likes to lecture people on Twitter. And don't get me wrong, I have utmost respect for Gabriel, and he's a nice guy. And I just he lectures people on Twitter. He makes fun of them for not being lawyers and trying to talk about constitutional law. Like, I get what you're saying, but the Fourth Amendment says what the Fourth Amendment says, by the way. So, no offense to Gabriel at all. Like I said, the guy's very smart and he's very intelligent. He knows what he's talking about. I just, precedent. What is precedent if it's bad precedent? It's still bad precedent.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't really change anything. And I actually, funny thing. Like last night, we were at that forum, and there was a candidate. I think the name is Gary Gerard. He's a guy has no shot in hell of winning this race in Georgia's 10th congressional district. And Jody Heiss, who's one of the other candidates, he's the pastor. He's one of the two front runners. He's big, like you said, he's big on the Constitution. He thinks Justin Amash would be a congressman he would model himself after. He's, big on the 10th Amendment and stuff like that. And Gary Gerard just came out afterwards, and it was his closing statement of all things. It was his closing statement. He just started talking about, basically blasting people who talk about the Constitution. He's saying, if we bought about the Constitution, we wouldn't have Louisiana. We'd have to cede it back to the French, and just talking about how judicial review wouldn't be. And, there are
judicial review isn't in the Constitution.
Right. That was the point he was trying to make. And what Jody and a lot of these other candidates who were talking about the Constitution were saying is like, we have to get back to the Constitution as close as we can. Well, obviously what's done has been done.
Yeah.
But we have to start working our way back. We can't allow the bad things that have happened, especially over the since 9/11, to stay as the status quo. Because we're going to keep losing freedoms. Our freedoms are going to keep eroding. And I found his answer not just to be unacceptable, to be completely objectionable. Like, I don't see how anyone, especially running in this district, this is an R+13 district, according to the Cook Political Report, solidly Republican. This district is going to go Republican. There's no Democrat. I mean, obviously, if it's going to go Republican, there's no Democrat in the race. But, I mean, they're going to pick a conservative is what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to pick a red meat conservative candidate. This guy just took a dump on everything that conservatives believe.
Well, I mean, I've said that. Now, there's a difference between me saying it on air and a political candidate saying it.
Sure.
The Louisiana Purchase, as it was done, was unconstitutional.
Absolutely,
totally unconstitutional because
and Marbury versus Madison was as well.
Yeah,
I mean the judicial review is not in the Constitution. I mean, there are many things that we can go back and point to over in the at the end of the 18th century and the beginning of the 19th century when the nation was really getting up and running that we could say, that was unconstitutional. Jefferson knew the Louisiana Purchase was unconstitutional.
Yeah,
he knew it. But, and I'm not saying it was right. I'm not saying it was wrong. I'm not trying to rehash an argument that's been dead for 200 years. All I'm trying to say is, yes, you're right. There have been unconstitutional things done in the past. It doesn't make them right. By his argument, by saying that, you're saying a court case like Korematsu, which basically said that it basically affirmed FDR's and Congress's action to intern 100,000+ Japanese Americans, German Americans, and Italian Americans, that was okay. That's not okay.
Yeah.
These Americans were denied due process just because of their heritage. That's wrong.
Yeah.
So you're saying that's okay by making that argument? I mean, it was Antonin Scalia who said recently, Supreme Court Justice Scalia, who said, Korematsu could happen again because of precedent. I just thought it was a stupid, not just stupid argument, just profoundly. No, I'm not going to drop an F-bomb.
You can swear, it's okay.
No, it's just really stupid. It's just dumb. I cannot put into words how fucking stupid that was.
Well, it's funny if you talk to, Scalia is talking about a dystopian society, where that could happen again. You have other, Rand Paul talked about dystopian society in his speech at Berkeley, which I thought was a fantastic speech.
Yes, it was.
Because
David Axelrod made fun of him for it.
And David Axelrod said, though most Americans probably don't know what dystopian means, hard to deny that Rand Paul is an interesting story.
Rand Paul is an interesting story.
Yes. But I want to point something out to Mr. Axelrod, who I know isn't isn't listening, but that's who knows. Maybe he is, and if he is listening, David, welcome. If you want to tweet me and say you want to come on the show, I'm not going to stop you. You're welcome to come on.
The NSA is listening.
Yes. Oh, and NSA. As I say all the time, I'm saying hello to you with my 2 fingers. But if you go to boxofficemojo.com, the estimate for Friday is that Divergent took in $22,800,000. Divergent, if folks want to know, is a dystopian book. It's set in a dystopian version of Chicago, where it talks about how people are, or how the city is divided into 5 sections. So I'm sorry. I think a lot more people know what dystopian is.
Oh. V for Vendetta did really well at the box office. Children of Men did well at the box office. There have been a number of... Hell, after the NSA story came out, sales of 1984 surged. I mean, and in sales of Atlas Shrugs surged after the bailouts in 2008. People understand, and actually, I did an interview with the guys from Econ Pop. You've heard of Econ Stories, who did the Hayek versus Keynes videos back in a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. They've got a new series out called Econ Pop. They're basically taking themes from movies and TV shows and talking about like the economics of them and all that stuff. The first one was Dallas Buyers Club. The second one, they just did House of Cards, which I'm a huge House of Cards fan, by the way. So they talk about that stuff, and it's an interesting way of taking pop culture and But I actually asked John Papola, who's the producer and director of the series. I asked him, I was like, "Why do you think people?" I said, I asked, like, people get into dystopian movies about dystopian societies. Why don't they get into movies about economics? And it's just funny to see, because I was talking about how more people get into that kind of stuff than the economic stuff, and then to see David Axelrod put out that tweet just seemed, I don't know. I just guess he doesn't look at box office ratings and stuff like that. Hell, I mean, Hunger Games and V for Vendetta remains one of my favorite movies.
I hated V for Vendetta.
I hate you for saying that.
No. But you'll understand why. You will understand why.
Okay.
In my bookshelf, as I stare at it right now, I am staring at
the graphic novel,
the absolute edition of V for Vendetta. And and Liz, if you're still paying attention, I'm sure you're shaking your head right now.
Me, never.
Yeah. V for Vendetta, the book, which is a fantastic book, by the way. V for Vendetta was a critique of Thatcherian England, a misguided critique of Thatcherian England, but still a critique of Thatcherian England, specifically because there was some fear among some Britons that Thatcher would make the crown more powerful. Like, that was her goal, to make the crown more powerful, because she was willing to work with the crown on stuff, I think. Whereas the V for Vendetta movie turned into at least how I saw it, it turned into a referendum on the Iraqi war. And, or at least that's what it wasn't. That's what they tried to make it.
It was partially that. It was surveillance. It was, rendition, indefinite detention. Basically all the stuff we're living now.
I'll be honest. I need to go back and watch it. To see if I don't hate it as much as I did the first time I saw it, because when stuff is based on a comic book, and I don't mean like...
Oh, no, I had the same reaction towards the Walking Dead series, because it's so much... I mean, they have completely altered from the comic book.
Yeah, when something is based on a comic book, like one of my favorite comic book films, and there's a difference, in my opinion, between comic book film and superhero film.
Yeah.
There's crossover, but there's a difference. One of my favorite comic book films is Sin City. And the reason why it's one of my favorite comic book films is that you can just take that. I mean, you can take the stuff that's on the screen, open up the book, and see where it is.
Outside of Jessica Alba, I hated that movie.
Because of Jessica Alba?
No, that's the only reason I watched that movie.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
V for Vendetta, it was done with an agenda. We all know this. And when the film was done, it was a Democrat agenda. They were trying to paint a picture about George Bush and conservatives, particularly the social conservatives, and they were trying to, offer a warning that we could become a theocracy, essentially, because that there was theocratic background to everything that was going on, and because of the Patriot Act and everything else, we could end up with that sort of authoritarian role. But now you go and look at the film.
Yeah.
And it's funny, but remove the religion, which really was just in the background anyway. And guess what?
Well, the religion. No. Well, the religion was in the book, but think about it. It's set in England. England has a national church.
Yes. I didn't pick up on the religion part as much. I mean, I knew it was there. I mean, I know it was there, but I didn't pay much attention to it. That wasn't. I mean, it was more the surveillance state, police state type stuff. That's what I kind of paid attention to, and at that point in my time, I kind of solidified my libertarian views, and it was to me, it was preaching to the choir, but it also preached about what I think they made box office sales in that movie were $90 million or something insane like that. Not insane,
it was pretty good.
Yeah, it did well. I actually have 5 movie posters hanging in my office: Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Shaun of the Dead, Atlas Shrugged, and then V for Vendetta. Actually, I have a 6th, 1776, the musical.
Yeah.
Oh, there you made Missy in the chat room real happy. She loves 1776.
Oh, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's great.
John Adams in that movie. We had a history teacher that looked exactly like him.
Dude, that John Adams, because I watched John Adams the series a few years ago when it was out. I bought it on DVD, have it all. If I could take that Ben Franklin and then the Thomas Jefferson from the John Adams series, and then Mr. Feeney, who played John Adams in 17th, it would be the perfect. Stephen Delaney played the best Thomas Jefferson of any adaptation I've ever seen. Out of anybody who's I've ever seen play him, I think he nailed it based on what we know of Jefferson. How he was very quiet, very shy, very, but just, obviously an amazing writer. But and then I thought John Wilkinson's Ben Franklin was a little too, I don't know, weird. But the guy who played it in 1776 just cracked me. He just cracked me out. It was great. So yeah. Good times. I'm gonna go watch that tomorrow, I think.
There you go.
I haven't watched
it. I am debating once we're done here. I'm debating either going and watching Vikings or Revolution.
We just started Game of Thrones again.
Oh, I have never watched that.
I can't. I've read the books, and
how do you have time to read?
Huh?
How do you have time to read? You've read all 3 of the books? Wait, 2, 3? How many books are there?
There are 5.
Oh, there are 5? Okay.
I've read the first one. I've read the first book. I've read half of the second book. So I know, I've read the first book. I've read the second book. I've read half of the third book. And then I have the other books. I just haven't gotten to it. And they're good books, but the South Park complaints about boy,
I haven't seen that episode.
There are a lot of penises here. It's yeah.
Have you seen any good shows recently? Have you listened to any new good music or anything?
I have been. I have gotten back. Well, okay. First off, the soundtrack for 300 Rise of an Empire. That's actually pretty good.
Okay.
Junkie XL did that. I was pretty impressed by that. Today, I've been listening to Ennio Morricone's Dollars trilogy.
Okay.
They finally released all of the soundtracks.
Okay.
Like actual like the soundtracks that were released in Italy.
Okay.
So instead of the American version, it's the Italian version. So it's got like all the music. The other group that I've actually been a pretty big fan of recently are the guys who do the Justified theme, called Gangsta Grass.
Gangsta Grass.
And it is, I'm not kidding here, folks. It is bluegrass hip hop, and it works.
Ew.
That's
Ew.
a thing?
That's scary.
That's terrible. I'm sorry, but that's terrible.
You think it would. You think it would, but if you listen to it, it's actually pretty good.
I went to a show, my wife and I, last weekend. We actually took her cousin with us. She's 14, and she's just getting into like some of the music that we listen to. And we took her to see this band called Lotus. I don't know if I ever told you about Lotus.
All right, hang on a second, Liz. Do you happen to have the show up on your? Or Jason, did you have something? Because you just went, Jason, you just went all staticky.
Did I?
Yeah.
Am I still staticky?
Yep, you're still staticky.
That's weird.
And I can hear you echoing.
I have my headphones in, so I shouldn't be calling you right back.
Yeah. Tell you what, let's we'll take another real quick break, and then I just want to keep talking music. So
yeah, sure.
We'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. This is Saturday Night Cigar Lounge here on Vigilant Liberty Radio.
We want to welcome Michael Moore to Occupy Wall Street. I'm so impressed by what I'm seeing here.
How much of people's income do you, Michael Moore, want the government to confiscate?
Probably twice what we're paying right now.
It's not envy, it's war.
Where's the rage? Where's the uprising?
Storm the doors of the New York Stock Exchange.
It is a class war.
If the wealthy paid their fair share.
For a documentary filmmaker, I do really well. I'm very blessed.
And the rich thought poverty was bad.
I do well.
They get rid of it.
What pure? There's nothing pure about capitalism.
And they know what's coming on Wall Street.
We're seeing the end of capitalism. And I say good riddance.
He is one of my favorite capitalists. Yeah, I want to give him a hug.
Hi, this is Jonah Goldberg from National Review, and you're listening to Vigilant Liberty Radio.
Back here on Saturday Night Cigar Lounge, here on Vigilant Liberty Radio. Liz Harrison is here, who kind of showed up because her ears started burning. Also here is Jason Pye from United Liberty.
Howdy.
And,
now, wait a minute. Before we go and start talking music again, I do want to talk about one little thing. It has to do with Jason. Because it should make him a happy person.
Okay.
A lot of the time, whenever we're going and talking about technology and like social outreach and everything else, you know about the term return on investment.
Of course.
Right. Well, we who are spread way too thin and are theoretically, writing for multiple sites and all of that fun stuff, like I am.
Yeah.
We occasionally go and look at the return on investment. And I'm happy to say you win the prize.
Oh, do I?
Yes, you do. I will be whittling down who I am I'm contributing to in the next few weeks, and United Liberty is definitely not on the cut, pal.
I'm glad to hear that.
As a matter of fact, you're pretty much running at the top as far as even return on investment for me just retweeting your things.
Oh, excellent. Thank God. That's great. That's great to hear. I mean, trust me. I mean, I'm glad to hear that. I'm especially, like I said earlier, your stuff has been some of my favorite. So, and it's done really well. I mean, it always does really well. Especially the gun stuff. Any gun stuff does amazing. We get picked up by a lot of these Second Amendment blogs, and it does wonders for traffic. So,
Liz, yeah. If I ever hear you complain about your writing and that you're a sucky writer, I'm going to play this episode for you.
No, my biggest this is the reason I say I'm a sucky writer is because I push out a lot of content during the day. So and I a lot of times am not as careful as I should be in like proofreading, for example.
Yes.
So and I will push out a piece that has, like I did it yesterday. I wrote this piece about the guys from Liberty Karaoke. They're some DC area Liberty guys and Liberty folks. They're mostly in their 20s and early 30s, and they're hosting these fundraisers for, like, they did one for Amash, they did one for Thomas Massey. They're doing one for a candidate out in California by the name of Igor Berman. He's a Soviet. He was actually born in the Soviet Union, and oh wow, and came to the United States. You actually should have him on at some point. He's got a great story. They're throwing a fundraiser for him, and I interviewed Matthew Hurt, who is one of the founders of the group.
Yeah.
And I screwed up the piece. Like, I was so upset with myself. I actually caught it. I was on the way to the forum, the debate last night, and I had to correct it on my iPhone. Like, I'm in the car trying to correct it on my iPhone. So, yeah, it was good times. Not really.
But Liz, I think you've made a comment about me from time to time and what I can't talk about. The stuff I can't talk about, where we've had those. Yeah. I have the same problem sometimes.
Wait, what?
His day job.
Yeah, the day job and working too fast.
Gotcha.
Jason, what are you listening to? You were raised on punk rock, but what are you listening to?
Well, like I was mentioning before, my wife and I went and saw a show last weekend. We took her 14-year-old cousin with us to go see the show, and we saw this band called Law Dispute that we've been listening to a lot. They're kind of I think they're from the Michigan area. They're kind of a post-hardcore band. Like, if you guys they're not punk rock at all. I mean, I don't know if anybody even knows what the term post-hardcore is. It's basically a lot of melody, but a little bit of screaming from time to time.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, and we had a hell of a time. There was a good opening band. They were called Pianos Become the Teeth. Like, completely weird name, but they were their songs kind of ran together a little bit. But what we heard, we liked. But outside of that, what I've had in the CD player lately, or on Spotify, I did drive a little bit today. I have a CD player in the car, so I listened to a lot of Glassjaw. I actually threw in some Coheed and Cambria. I haven't listened to them in forever, and Glassjaw, Coheed and Cambria, a little bit of Thrice today. Always tossing the Get Up Kids from time to time as well. So, but yeah, I mean, music's still my favorite thing. I haven't played a lot in a while, though. I need to pull out the guitars and start playing again more often.
Yeah, I'm very thankful that my drum set is in my parents' house, and so I need to get it once I have a little bit more room.
I miss playing drums. I mean, that was before the forum last night. We were playing at this private school. They had a full drum set in the music room, and I was like, "Can I play on that for a second? Like, do you mind?" if I play on that for a second. They didn't care, so I played it for just a minute or two. I needed to get back to work. I didn't want to get all gross and sweaty before I had to go on stage and go moderate a debate. I'm a child at heart. I'm 33 years old. I act like I'm 15 when I go out in places. Like people. I think it's funny because I think people underestimate me when like they meet me for the first time. Like you don't come across as someone who should be working in politics or writing about politics. Are you sure? Are you like? I mean, I showed up at Congressman Tom Price's office, and I walk in. It was in his district. I was doing an interview with him back in January on healthcare, and so I walk in. And I'm wearing like a Western style shirt, rolled up sleeves. I mean, like Atlanta Braves baseball hat. I hadn't trimmed my beard in a while. I walk in. I'm like, yeah, I'm here for a 2:00 interview with the congressman. He's like, and who are you? Like, he's like, I like when people don't take me seriously. Like last night, I wore a sports coat over a Freedom Works T-shirt. Nice. I was tennis shoes and all that. Anyway,
have you ever listened to A Hope for Home?
No.
You try them. They are a Christian-based band. Like their early stuff is definitely, it's definitely, you can hear it and you're like, yeah, this is definitely Christian. I
don't have any problem with it. Like Norma Jean and Living Sacrifice are a couple of my favorite bands.
But if you listen, their last album, which came out in 2011, called In Abstraction,
okay,
it's got 7 songs. But it goes 51 minutes, and the last one is just like they blend together, but you know it's on purpose.
Yeah, well,
and it's just awesome.
One thing about I was talking about Law Dispute. You should check them out. Anybody listening should check them out. These guys have a couple of the most thought-provoking songs you'll ever hear. They have one that's about 2 of the saddest songs you'll ever hear, in fact. But there's one called "I See Everything." It's he was a high school student who walked in the classroom one day and he was given a chapter from a diary to read. It was about the parents of a child with leukemia. And it goes through the entire process of the child. I mean, apparently it was a relapse, but the child having leukemia, going through the procedures and chemo and all that stuff, and then also finally passing away. It was just, it's a great song, and it's sad. I mean, it sounds sad. It is sad. But there was another one about, it's called King Park, and it's about he read about a drive-by shooting that had occurred, and so he's recounted the entire, like what he thought it would have been like, and just thinking about that song gives me chill bumps. Like it's such a good song. Like it's just one of those.
These, by the way, are both on their album called Wildlife, which came out in 2011. Yes, I'm looking at their Wikipedia page. Yeah, no, I mean they are a really, really good band. Like and I've had a hard time getting into new music. Like, I mean, most of the stuff I listen to is probably from my freshman year in high school up until 2005 or 2006. I mean, their stuff, like Law Dispute stuff, is just absolutely amazing. Like, just very, very solid, very, very good. I just big fan. I mean. Yeah, no, I'm waiting for Opeth is supposedly working on a new album.
They're still around?
Yes.
Holy hell! Wow.
Yeah. It's going to be released in June. I am so looking forward to this. I saw them in concert in 2011, 2012, and the joke that I had because I went to that concert and it was them and Catatonia.
Okay.
And it was a fantastic show. But the people who were there, I was just like, oh my gosh! I'm sitting there in an Under Oath shirt, and there are people there walking around and they're wearing like Satanist T-shirts.
Nice, yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
I can imagine, especially like, God, I can't believe you had the balls to wear an Under Oath shirt to a death metal show.
I didn't think about it. I was just like, I was.
Here's the thing. Like, actually, Under Oath, not a bad band. Like, I never got into them as much as I should have. But like everything I heard by them was solid. Like, it was always very good. You know, that was about the time I was really stopping listening to new music and stuff. So that explains a lot of it. But like they were everything I heard from them was always very good.
Yeah, their last 3 albums, Define the Great Line, Lost in the Sound of Separation, and then Disambiguation.
Define the Great Line was the one I heard.
I love that, but Lost in the Sound of Separation is just it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's one of those where I haven't listened. It used to be just my go-to album for a while.
My go-to album right now, the one I've been listening to is Norah Jean's new record. And the name escapes me. I can't think of it, but my favorite song is If You Got It at 5, You Got It at 50. Like, that song, like, I actually listen to that just to get pumped up in the morning. Like, there's no, I'm serious. Like, I have a playlist on Spotify. It's called Morning Jog. It's just like the songs I listen to get motivated, and that's one of them. Like, that's on there. Like that, and like Living Sacrifice, Manchester Orchestra, which is a great band. Like, they have a couple great songs. Brandon Morrison and I bonded over Manchester Orchestra before. Yeah, I mean. Like, I hear NoFX is coming out with a new record. I'm sort of kind of excited, but also kind of disappointed. I think they should just go away. But it's new punk rock music, and I haven't heard any new good punk rock in a long time. So I'm hoping it will be decent. So
I of course am always sitting here, going, okay, I guess I'm probably going to have to wait until 2015, but hopefully there will be a new album by Eamon Amarth.
I have no idea who that is.
They are Liz is going to start laughing. They are a melodic death metal band from Sweden.
Okay.
They took their name from the Sindarin name of Mount Doom from Middle Earth. And they are a Viking metal band.
Okay.
Like, they have a song.
All right.
They have a song where it talks about them going after the Irish on a raid, and the king and the Irish king getting away. It's just like, it's a long poem, almost.
What?
Set to heavy metal.
Oh, Lord.
And the guy going, we went the field. We got
Lord.
We got our swords. Oh. It's just awesome.
Oh, God.
I'm
not even going there. I have been stuck using it.
I was talking to this kid last night who works on one of the campaigns, and he was like really excited to meet somebody else who's a Republican, albeit a libertarian-leaning Republican, who listens to punk rock and hardcore and all that stuff. And he was just really, really excited. And he actually name-dropped Atreyu, and I was like, wow, like I hadn't heard that name in a long time. Wow, Atreyu, jeez. Like, I mean, they suck, but okay, like Atreyu, yeah. All right.
If you want to know, Eamon Amarth's last studio album that came out last year is called Deceiver of the Gods, and the cover is Loki versus the Aesir.
Okay.
And those who don't know who the Aesir are, it's basically the pantheon of... It's a Germanic pantheon, basically.
Or if you want to listen to a good Swedish band, listen to Refused, because they're amazing.
Oh, come on!
The Shape of Punk to Come by Refused. It's one of the best records I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, it's seriously... It may be... they were before their time. They actually released that record in 98 or 99. And, like, the title of it is really, it's actually, I don't know. prophetic. I mean, like that was basically what the punk scene did turn into. It was like kind of this melodic hardcore mixed with like punk rock roots. It was, The Shape of Punk to Come by Refused. Listen to New Noise. This is probably the most well-known song. When you play it, you'll be like, oh, I've heard this, most likely. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a couple of the other ones. The names are escaping me right now. I'm tired. But anyway, just check out the record because you're going to love it. If you don't, sorry.
Yeah.
But they scream a lot, so. I like music where people scream. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do that too.
And if you want a good punk rock record, Twisted by Design by Strung Out.
Yeah, you've been trying to get me to listen to them.
That record is one of my favorites, pretty much. Like that, Life in General by MXPX. Punkin' Drublic by NoFX. Caution by Hot Water Music. Like I actually have a Spotify playlist with all of these things. You may sense a pattern. Like you can go to my Spotify and find all these things. I have, but yeah, I may obsess over music. But basically,
have you hung out with Mike Herrera from MXPX recently?
We tweet at each other from time to time, but he's been busy touring and stuff like that. We haven't. I know Michelle Ray had him on not too long ago on her podcast. When I say not too long ago, within the last few months. Yeah. But I keep trying to pester him about coming to Atlanta and playing a show. He
came in through Dallas, and that was
heard.
And that was when I was dealing with. I had my sprained ankle on my leg, and I couldn't drive.
Oh,
so
okay.
I couldn't drive, and I had to work at night, and it was just like.
Was it an MXPX show, or was it his solo stuff?
It was his solo stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So. Yeah, or else I would have gone.
Yeah, he plays a lot of MXPX stuff on his solo tours, but I mean MXPX, they've always been a favorite of mine. I've been listening to them literally since I was like in 8th grade. So I mean, I've been around. Being on his podcast was like one of the coolest experiences. Like, I know I'm old and like I said, but I've been listening to them like half my life, and being on his podcast was such a huge excitement for me. Like it was ridiculous. I should not have been that excited, but
Prairie
I was.
Dog in the chat room. Why in the world do you want me to look at? Do you want me to listen to Butcher Babies?
Butcher Babies. What?
It is an American metal band fronted by two women. And I did
that sounds terrible.
Yeah, and I did an image search for them, and they apparently go. Not that I'm complaining about what they wear on stage, although it's just kind of like okay. The first picture I see features them wearing a leather bikini bottom with tape over their nipples.
Awesome. Are they hot? Okay, never mind. That says it all. Never mind.
I mean, they're not.
I'm trying to be silly. I was just trying to be silly. Sorry.
They're not unattractive, but.
Oh! Have you heard? Here's something new. Sunny Day Real Estate. Has anybody out there on the chat list? Taylor, Liz, have you guys heard of Sunny Day Real Estate?
I know who they are.
Yeah, they're coming out with new stuff.
Huh.
I am super excited about that. They were... I know everybody likes Diary, which was their first record, is the one that put them on the map.
Yeah.
But LP2 is also a good record. Diary is a great record. Don't get me wrong. But my favorite was How It Feels to Be Something On. That was the one they released. The bass player Nate, he left to go play in the Foo Fighters, and then so he wasn't on that record. They had a different bass player and all that stuff. Yeah. But Jeremy came back after his hiatus from being Mr. Christian, which is fine. But I'm just saying that's why he quit Sunny Day Real Estate to begin with. Was he had become a born again Christian. So he came back, did Sunny Day Real Estate. Anyway, they released 1 or 2 more records. Broke up again. It's been 10 years since they've released anything new, and they're finally releasing new record, new material, and I'm very excited about that. I always Sunny Day Real Estate. it's been coined as emo, but I hate that term more than anything in the world. But so if you call them emo into my face, I will probably slit your throat. But but they are probably one of the best musically. Like, they are all very good at what they do. Like, I mean, like, great guitar, great bass playing. The drumming is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't sound very difficult, but if you really pay attention to what he's doing, like some of the time signatures, some of the ghost notes he's hitting on snares, on the snare drum, it's great. Listen to it. How It Feels to Be Something On is my favorite by them, so check it out if you have time.
Jeremy actually did stuff with the Almost, which is the band that actually Aaron Gillespie, formerly of
Under Oath, right,
is the lead singer on. And I've heard some of the Almost stuff, and it's actually not that. Their stuff ain't that bad. I just haven't gotten into it.
I couldn't dig it. Like, I just could not get into it. Like, just not me at all. Like, I don't know.
They had some good stuff, but I couldn't get. Yeah, they had some good stuff, but not something I would listen to on a regular. I'm so, like, just scatterbrained when it comes to music that it just I'll listen to Gangsta Grass, I'll listen to Amon Amarth, I'll listen to Ennio Morricone. But Jason, where can we thank you for sticking around, especially into overtime.
Oh, no problem. No, absolutely.
Where can we find you online?
I am on Twitter at Jase Liberty, Jase Liberty, and UnitedLiberty.com or .org. Either one doesn't matter. It goes to the same place. And you can find me on the Facebooks as well. It's Facebook.com/ God, I forgot my own Facebook. I think it's.
You can find him by searching for Jason Pye.
Yeah, well, there you go. I think it's just Facebook.com/Jason Pye. I cannot believe I forgot my own Facebook.
Nobody remembers it because everybody searches by your name. So whatever your viewed name is, it works.
Right. Everything is terrible right now because I forgot that. Anyway, but no, thank you guys for having me on, Taylor. I appreciate it. It's always fun chatting with you, man. And
so you ought to. I know you love Georgia. If Georgia were closer to Texas, I'm sure we'd be hanging out a lot more.
My wife wants to go back. She loves Texas.
Come visit Dallas. I'll throw out.
She did not like Dallas. Believe it or not, she liked Austin.
Everybody likes Austin.
She liked. There was a bar in, I think, the Austin area she went to. It was owned by a friend of ours. But anyway, no, she liked Austin. I think she went to San Antonio. I don't know if she really stayed there, but she raved about Austin. But she seemed really disappointed by Dallas.
Fort Worth is probably Fort Worth. Maybe more y'all seen. I'm serious. I'm serious. Fort Worth is very anti-big city.
Okay. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. Big cities, and here's the thing, man. We go to Atlanta to do all our fun stuff, but I hate Atlanta, so much. But anyway. But no.
Dallas is big city. Fort Worth is not.
Okay.
It's pretty amazing.
Right.
Pretty amazing. So.
Well, thanks again, man.
No,
I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. We will we will be back here next week. Tomorrow, I believe. We will have a new episode with Jonathan Sangster of Next with Jonathan Sangster. Then Monday, Alan Bordius with their Finest Hour. Liz, you know the rest of the lineup. You want to go through that? Because we've got new shows, don't we?
Yeah, Sunday, we actually will have a new show, as far as I know. We'll be premiering tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, and that will be Truth Serum. And that's with Gerald Harrison. And then Tuesday, Roundtable of Extreme Liberty. Wednesday, we've got Modern Comments and the simulcast of the Right War. And Thursday, America Our Way is releasing at 10 p.m. You can download it or listen after 10 p.m. Eastern, and 11 p.m. again, the simulcast with FTR. And then Friday, we're back to the the conservative feminist show, and we will have Mariah back, so it should be very interesting. And then back here Saturday again.
Yes, the what is it that we're calling it now? The kinky conservative feminist show.
Yes,
that's
the kinky conservative. Yeah, the kinky conservative feminist show.
Anyway, thanks again, folks. We will talk with you next week here on Saturday Night Cigar Lounge here on Vigilant Liberty Radio. Good night, guys.
This show is copyright by VLR Media. All opinions of panelists and guests are their own and may not reflect the opinion of VLR Media, the host, or anyone else.